Hi, everyone. It's Wednesday of our Divorcing Seminar Summit, and I am so excited and so appreciative of Mark. I'm bumbling a little bit of Mark Sklar being with me today. He is such a vast source of information, and our topic today is the divorce tsunami, healing your mind, body, and soul. And Mark Sklar, let me tell you a little bit. Mark has been studying, practicing, and educating others about alternative medicine for more than 15 years in his clinic in Southern California. After completing his undergraduate degree in I gotta put my glasses on, comparative religion at the University of Florida, he experienced an illness and learned about Oriental medicine while searching for the most effective way to recover. That experience was a catalyst to expand his studies of Asian religion to include Oriental medicine. And it's my pleasure and honor to have Mark here today. So thank you so much once again for being so generous and sharing your knowledge.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. This is such a wonderful topic and definitely one that is much needed in the world.
It is. And there seems to be a little bit of an epidemic of high conflict divorces. And so there's actually like three flavors of divorces. You know, there's one that's really, you come to a place in your relationship and you just realize that you're out of love with each other and you just move away. And then there's that business-like relationship ending, which is very business-like. Let's get this done. Let's be, move our special other ways. And then there's these high conflict divorces. And there seems to be such an influx into the legal system. And really, this system isn't set up to handle people who have a personality disorder or have a personality that could be aggressive. So what ended up happening is, I've decided to share a little bit about what happened in my life. I was married for 17 years, to the love of my life, and it just didn't work anymore. The otherness of our marriage, finally, I was in a place of seeing it. And I entered into the legal system, really was hit by the tsunami. It was very similar, Mark, to the emotional roller coaster of finding out, the diagnosis of infertility. And I want to make it clear that you and I work together within the infertility world. And so when this divorce summit, the birthing of this divorce summit came, I really felt strongly I wanted your voice heard, because you and I agree, and I believe we agree, that the energy that is for creation is the same energy regardless if you're trying to create a new life or a baby. It's that energy within your system. And so I'm hoping that you could just help give practical strategies for women who are hit with the tsunami, hit with an emotional, physical, legal, economic tsunami, like the bottom falls out. And then if you have a mom, with their children, they're also concerned about the psychological safety of their children. So that is such an influx of, really, a head spinning moment. And for me, Mark, I didn't even realize how under stress I was. And that's where I'm hoping that your insights can help.
Yeah, I don't know that I could say that I'm so keenly aware of how prevalent this very conflictive and hard type of divorce is, throughout the country. I know that there's certainly been over the centuries a steady rise in divorce, and for various reasons. Sometimes, as you say, we grow apart and whatnot. I do agree with you. I think it's really hard. The legal system's not really set up to manage it very well, and they tend to let things draw out longer because it's actually in their best interest, right? Financially, it's in the legal system's best interest to draw things out, and now you also have these very what's the right word? Harsh, powerful, and very conflict-driven attorneys trying to
Right.
push things, and they make the whole process much worse and much more difficult than it needs to be. And unfortunately, it's even worse if we've got children involved, right? You know, if there's no children involved, hopefully it's, yes, a conflict, but it's just the two of you that have that conflict and you're not affecting others. But certainly if you've got children of any age, it becomes a struggle and a factor in managing all of those dynamics and all of those struggles, because everybody wants to keep somewhat of a safe environment for those kids. And oftentimes it kind of goes in different directions. And it goes in different directions and kind of gets pushed in this stressful mode for such a long time without a lot of awareness and consciousness of the fact that those things are happening. And I think that's where a lot of individuals like yourself might not realize you're in a stressful mode until after the fact or much further into the process, right? And I call this survival mode.
Right.
So when we're under stress, our goal is to survive. I mean, that's really the stress response, is a survival response. So either we're going to fight or we're going to run. And both of those are survival mechanisms, right? But in the divorce process, it tends to be that we fight more than we run, because we want to hold on to those things that are valuable. And, you know, especially if you live in a state that doesn't have the equal division of material objects and financial savings and so forth, it's even a harder process there, right? Because then everyone's scrapping for the last little bit of material goods, if you will. And so we're in this survival mode. And when you're in that mode, you don't realize it. I mean, and typically that stress response, that survival mode, was really designed to be for such a short period of time, right? You were going to fight the animal or the other human being to save yourself, or you're going to get the hell out of there and run and not stick around to find out, right? And, you know, whether it was whatever short period of time it was to go and get out of there. With a divorce process, that gets so drawn out, right? Because it's not a day or even a week. This is months and sometimes even years of a process. I have a patient right now who, she finally can start the paperwork to actually separate from her husband, because now they've finished up with all their goods. And this 2 years into it, 2 years into it, right? So you're in this constant survival mode for such a period of time. It's very draining on your adrenal gland, very draining on you. And by the time many of us realize what we're in, I don't want to say it's too late, but we're so into the process that it takes it's much longer and much harder to pull ourselves in the other direction and do the things we need to do to take care of ourselves. And so that's what this survival mode is, right? You're just reaching to stay afloat, and really get through it all. And it's not, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's not a bad thing, right? We need it. We need to do it because you need to survive, and you need to hold on to the things that are of value to you and allow you to kind of stand on your own 2 feet and be able to survive beyond. But that being said, it can only go for so long before it really starts to hurt us in our health-wise.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, what ended, of course, my spiritual base is where I run, and for me, it was really going back and committing daily to my spiritual practice to move me through this. And although that was wonderful and it helped, there was still a gap. So Mark, I started dancing again. So, I was a dancer, so I started taking dance classes to move my body, and that was okay. That was good, because now I had the spiritual part that was, almost overriding that stress response. And then I was dancing, kind of get the groove back. But it wasn't until, in the middle of my divorce, my mom got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She got diagnosed in September and she died in December. So within this very high conflict time, my mom passed. And then of course that was a shock to us because she was so vibrant and serving everyone. She ran a soup kitchen and she was just this amazing woman. But then my ex-husband put contempt on me the day, the week I was burying my mother, and said that I impeded his parenting time. And that was so I had to go in front of the judge, and there was, legal action against me. It could have resulted in arrest. And at that time, that's when I just crashed. And you know how you said it's a good thing that the body's responding like that. And it wasn't until that I broke that way that I was like, holy God, I have to make conscious choices now because this body is, under siege. So why I'm hoping so much for you is that I don't want another person to get to that point of being taken away in an ambulance because, the stress was so much, and then have the physical side effects from that.
Sure. So some of the tools that I think are really valuable for things like this is, well, one of them you already mentioned, I think you went to your spiritual side. So certainly spirituality, whatever faith and beliefs you have, I think that's very powerful and really necessary in times like this, right? So that you can connect with whatever that higher being is that you believe in. And it gives you hopefully some peace of mind and understanding that things will be okay in the end. Mm-hmm. In addition, as I'm sure you probably did some meditation.
Yes.
Right? But meditation is essential, I think, just for being able to be more present with ourselves, with our emotions, with our thoughts, to be able to gather them clearly without all the noise that surrounds us, and be able to kind of filter through it and figure out what to do with that information afterwards, right? Getting enough sleep is imperative. I mean, with survival mode, we tend to sleep less because we're trying to do more and accomplish more and manage all the things that we were managing before. And so sleep is essential. That can't go away because that's when our body starts to heal itself.
Right.
That's when our body starts to really take care of ourselves and when our mind can shut off. Now, will the sleep be as restful as it was before? Maybe not, but you need to get enough sleep because that also nurtures the adrenal glands. It gives them time to rest and rejuvenate when all the other times they're going. So meditation and sleep and that spiritual component. So those are some key things that I would recommend to anybody. And some things that might not be as at the forefront, right? Things that we might not think of as much is being surrounding yourself with support by friends and family, right? Because we often tend to retreat. We tend to retreat and isolate ourselves because we don't want to burden anybody else and we don't want to hear anybody else's negative chatter. But if you can communicate properly with them and say, like, I don't really need to talk about it, but I need to be around you and I need to have some love and I need to have some support. I need to laugh and I need to cry and I need to maybe in your case also go dancing with some friends, right? I love the dance.
This was actually in a dance class, not
dance class. Okay.
I did jazz and ballet, so I did dance. So I went back to I was like, what do I need right now? And I'm like, I need to try dancing again.
It's great.
Yeah. So it's so going back to the sleep issue, and I was hoping that maybe you could help. So I know for me, in the back of my mind, I knew I needed to rest. And so I had no issue falling asleep, but then I would wake up at 3:00 in the morning and not be able to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So, and that was kind of the disruption of the biorhythms, right? The stress and everything. So do you have a tip if someone is experiencing not being able to fall asleep or waking up, sporadically during the night?
Yeah. So my two, well, I might even say 3 tips. My first one's going to be, keep a journal by the bed or a piece of paper by the bed, a notebook. If we're having trouble falling asleep, it's usually because we're thinking, we've got that checklist. Okay, I need to do all these things and I forgot to call the attorney and, whatever it might be, right? So, and also if we wake up in the middle of the night, it's because we're having thoughts. There's a lot going on in our mind. It's hard to shut it off. Mm-hmm. So I would have a notepad by the bed and just basically, use that as your regurgitation pad. You're just trying to throw up whatever information's in your head onto the pad to get it out of your mind so that you can say, okay, I've calmed my mind because it's all there. I won't forget it. In the morning, I'll just look at it and know what my notes were and I can do it. And now I can rest my mind and go to sleep. So that's one. Two is there's a couple easy supplements that I think people can take.
Okay, great.
One is magnesium. It's very sedating and calming. And my favorite one is you can get it almost any health food store. Is called Calm, C-A-L-M, Calm Magnesium. It comes in a powder in different flavors. Just mix it with some water. Drink it up before, like 30 minutes before bed. It helps to relax you and calm you down.
Okay.
Or you wake up in the middle of the night and you know that you have that tendency. You can also keep it by the bed and do that as well. Just drink it, at that moment in time. So that's helpful for settling us down, calming us down, and allowing us to get back to sleep or stay asleep, if you will. And then the other one, which is really important for supporting our adrenal glands specifically, is called ashwagandha.
Okay.
It's an Indian herb. And you'll find it in a lot of adrenal support supplements, but you can also find it by itself. And that you can take during the day to support your adrenal glands. I don't recommend taking it at nighttime because it can give you a little boost of energy. So you don't really want to do it, too late in the day. So those would be some of my key recommendations of actual, practical things to do at those moments in time.
Those are wonderful. And so is there anything that you would recommend for not just a supplement or something to eat during that time that would help to, I almost think of it for me, the divorce diet, I lost about close to probably 35 pounds and, I was down to a size 0. Maybe that's why I could dance, but I'm not saying that was a bad thing, but the way it happened wasn't that great, So I was just wondering, like, something that you could supplement your diet with or something to include in your diet.
Yeah, so one of the things that happens, interestingly enough, with adrenal response is that one of the systems that gets shuts down is the digestive system. So that could be why you were losing that weight. You weren't as hungry, and then when you did eat, you didn't want to eat as much, and so on. So some key things is eating some really nurturing foods. So first and foremost is bone broth. Really supportive to the body, provides protein, key nutrients. So that's really nice. You can sip it through the day. You can use it for cooking, right? So
I wish you told me that. I would have loved that. Never thought of that. Like instead of tea, have a little nice warm soup. Oh,
yeah. I mean, tea's great depending on which one you're using. Tea's fine also. If you're going to use tea, I like the, what they call it, the red African bush or rooibos tea.
Okay.
It's settling for the nervous system as well. So it's calming for the nervous system. So that's nice. And then the other thing that's really important, because we tend to, when we're under stress, we don't tend to eat the food is less nutritious,
right.
Less nutrient dense. So putting back the fat into our diet. So just making sure you're eating a lot of healthy fats, coconut oil, avocado, to help balance out, because it also is filling. It also gives us those essential fatty acids that we need, the essential fat that we need. So good, healthy fats. When you're under this amount of stress, this is the time to really be more conscious of our health, not less conscious, right? So we want to eat well. We want to sleep better. We want to just work on the basics of the keys to our life that support us. So some nice walking outside, going for a nice, beautiful walk, in the park or by the ocean or whatever it might be. Those are some key things that I think are going to be really nurturing to the soul. And
just one other thing. So when you talk about all those wonderful tips, for me too, and for my children, it was important to keep it on a routine. And so, an Epsom bath, I would, keep us all on a routine, and then, either take a warm shower or take a bath. And is there anything else? And, I'm nutty crunchy. So what else I had in the bath is I would have the chakra stones in the bath, okay, Mark, I had a rose quartz in my bra almost every day, probably for like 3 years. So I just want to talk to you, you know, what is your opinion about routine during this time? You know, because I felt like that also, you know, brought in the security or safety, you know,
Yeah.
quieted that part a little bit.
Well, we all like routine.
Yeah.
It's important for our health and our sanity that we have a schedule, that we have a process that we're familiar with, and you know, whether it's Taco Tuesday or Epsom salts every night, baths every night, you know, whatever it might be, we have this routine, and it gives us comfort and it makes it easier for us. It's less to think about, right? So we know it's 8 o'clock, we make our bath. 9 o'clock, we drink our tea. 10 o'clock, we're in bed, whatever it might be. Those routines are really, really important, very valuable. The less our mind needs to think and process and make decisions, the easier it is, especially under times of stress. So I would agree with you. I think routine is essential.
So does that have, do you know if that has like a biofeedback to calm your system? Because that's, I talk about that with my clients, about even, you know, when you and I work with a client for fertility, I talk about having the safety or security of the routine. And so that was kind of second nature that it wasn't until just, you know, we're kind of on autopilot now, you know, we're a little bit out from the divorce and we're still on that routine. I mean, we're not regimented, but you know what I mean? It's just part of what we do here, you know?
No, you know, there's a reason for it. In most spiritual practices, the spiritual practice is a routine, right? Whether you're Muslim and you pray 5 times a day, or you're Buddhist and you sit in the morning for an hour and an hour in the evening, you know, whatever it might be, these routines, it's not just about the process, the routine of doing something, it's also the routine, the physical act of the routine. So if you're making an Epsom salt bath every day, you're probably doing it the same way, right? First, you put the salts in, then you heat up the water, then you put in the essential oils, then you get in, and then, oh, I forgot the stones, you put the stone, you know, right? So like there's a process to it, and there's probably a way that you do it every day. There's step 1 through 5. Well, it's the same thing. Like any meditative practice is the same. You know, the Buddhists who say their mantras every day, they say the same mantra for a reason, right? And they've got their prayer beads doing the same beat for a reason, because it allows you to get lost in the process, in the cycle. And it is cleansing, it's clearing for the mind. We don't have to focus on so many things, right? So there's a reason. It's not just like people don't pray 5 times a day because it's such a random number, right? Like, oh yeah, 5 sounded good, right? It's really disruptive to my day, but 5 sounds good. Right? So no, there's a whole reason for it, because psychologically it's really important. So yes, there is that feedback with the nervous system that causes the stress response to decrease. So if you can make all of, I can't say everything, we don't want to be OCD about it, but you know, if you can make things a process and a routine and a very similar cycle all the time, then that's very supportive and nurturing to your body as well.
I love that. I love it, Mark. Thank you so much. And it's so helpful. So this will be able to be watched over and over again, you know, after today. And then, of course, we'll have all the contact information. If you see people privately, and you don't have to be in California, that you also do Skype appointments. So I want to make sure people know that they can, you know, reach out to you and have a private appointment with you. So thank you so much again for all your wisdom. I so appreciate you.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you. And good luck with the afterlife of divorce and with this summit. It's going to be a wonderful weekend.
I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.